Hello everyone, I'm Ahmed Kishk. Today I want to present you my solution for a Pollard financial services scenario. This scenario is a retake scenario focusing only on or mainly on the data modeling section. Therefore, it's not a full scenario and it will not take 45 minutes to present it, but I assume that it will need 20 minutes. First of all, with introduction about Pollard Financial Services, PFS are specialized in individual investment strategies. They are based on 25 field offices in the US. They are serving over 20 million clients. They have 5 million individual clients and 15 million clients who are employees of businesses that are clients for PFS or PFS is working with them. PFS serves 300,000 businesses and they are planning to use Salesforce to implement their sales process. PFS has three main users: client sales representative, business sales representative, and sales support assistants. These users are require these features. For example, the client sales reps and the business sales reps and their assistants require access to account and contact functionality in Salesforce in addition to custom objects. And for that, I recommend for them to use platform license, as they don't need access to lead or opportunity objects. Therefore, the platform license will be suitable for this scenario. As well, the customers will need to have external access to portal, and this will be a customer community portal, and they will need customer community license. There was no requirements around reporting or other features that require granting them customer community plus. Moving forward for the role hierarchy, PFS is operating over 25 offices, and therefore we're going to have a dedicated role for each office manager. And under the office manager, we have a client sales rep reporting to him and sales support assistant who report to the client sales reps and assist him in the deals. We have business sales reps that work with the business accounts, and they span over the offices. That's why they appear here in the role hierarchy. Speaking about the data volumes, PFS have 20 million clients. I'm assuming that if we divide them per state and they are distributed evenly per state, we're gonna have 800,000 clients per state, and I'm having this assumption because of the large data volume that we're gonna have because of these numbers. So I'm going to have a multi-org strategy based on this number, and I can provide a single Salesforce org for every state. We're gonna talk about that later in the system landscape. But it is important to mention this assumption now. Taking into the consideration that we have 800,000 clients per org, and we have an investment plan that is created yearly for them, so we will end up with the same number of 800,000 investment plans in the first year. These records need to be maintained. So far in the second year, we're gonna have 1,600,000 records. If we take in the assumption that the same clients will remain in the second year, just for simplification, but of course this number will increase if the client increases. I assume that they will work with 10,000 funds. This number, of course, is just an assumption. It can be more or less. And therefore, they will need some reports to indicate the performance of these funds. I am assuming that we're going to have these reports in a quarterly basis, That's why I assume the volumes of the fund reports are 40,000 records, and in the second year this will increase to 80,000 records. Doing the math with these numbers, we will figure out that, of course, the investment plan fund will be in billions, the same for investment plan fund reports, and both of them will be large data volumes. For the system landscape, as I said, I recommend a multi-org strategy for this scenario because of the large data volumes that we have, and this will be distributed evenly. So each office works with a dedicated Salesforce org. In the Salesforce orgs will be connected via ESP to a master data management system that handle the duplicates between the client's data in all orgs. And I assume that before the data is landed to Salesforce, it is created first in a master data management, and this is correlated to the account records created in Salesforce. The implementation will be single language, single currency, since they operate only in US. Next, I want to present the data model. So first, we're gonna need to enable the person account to represent the individuals. In addition, we're gonna have another record type for business accounts. The individuals will be owned by the client sales rep, and the business accounts will be owned by business sales rep. We have a related contact records, and we have additional object to represent the account details that should have a specific security features. I will come to that later in the accessibility requirement. Speaking about the notation here, so this represents the standard object, and this represents the custom object, and this one represents a big object. Investment plans are represented as custom object with master detail relationship to the account. So whomever can access the account can access the investment plan as well. In addition, we have funds and fund reports, which are other custom objects in the system, and they are related to the investment plan via two big objects to represent the relationship between the funds and the investment plan, and the fund reports and the investment plan as well. There is a requirement that we're gonna leverage the account team for. Therefore, we have here the user entity and the user account team entity as well. At the end, we have as well a requirement to hold contract records. Since we are using platform license, we are not going to have access over the standard contract object, and therefore I recommend to have a custom object for this requirement. The last thing to mention is that since we enable person account, we cannot use account hierarchy, and therefore I have created another custom lookup field in the account to represent the parent account. Business account and person accounts for employees working on a business will be represented in that way. So they will have a lookup to a parent business account from their person account record. Moving forward, I want to present to you my solution for data modeling requirements. I have mentioned all of that except this point. Investment plan performance reports. This is in my model is fields inside the investment plan. Since we have this information in a monthly basis and the investment plan record is retained for a year, so I assume that I can have like 12 set of fields in the investment plan object to represent the performance report of the investment plan that we need to store this information monthly. So a 12 set of fields will be sufficient to do so. To make that user-friendly, I will create a Lightning Web component to display that in a good way for the user. Next, I want to present the accessibility requirement. Start with the first requirement that the business client information, including documents, should only be visible to the assigned client sales reps, and therefore we have the org-wide default in the org data model for the account and contact specified as private. Sales support assistant need to have access to these records as well, and I'm going to leverage the account team feature in order to do so. The direct line management as well should have access to these accounts, and this will be granted via the role hierarchy. The client sales representative should choose to share client information with other client sales representative. In Lightning experience, we don't have the manual sharing feature, and therefore I'm going to develop a Lightning Web component to handle that. And I will leverage the Apex managed sharing in order to implement the sharing requirement. However, there is another requirement that we should not be able to share this information or record with sales support assistant who is not assigned to the sales client to the client sales representative in his account team, and therefore I'm going to implement that via an Apex trigger validation on the account record itself to prevent such an assignment. There is another requirement that specific information about client or business accounts, such as tax identification number, should only be visible for the record owner. And this will be maintained in the account details custom object with an OWD private, so that no one else will have access to this record. And this is, yeah, you can see that here in the data model. Next, there is a requirement that business account information should be accessible to the client sales representative who work with the employee for the business. And as mentioned before, we have there the relationship to the parent account, the parent business account, and I'm going to utilize that field in order to implement an Apex managed sharing based on the custom account parent ID field. Other information for the business account should be visible only to the assigned business sales representative. And this is, again, will utilize the account detail custom object. So here in this custom object, you can see that it might be owned by the client sales reps in case it is individual or person account, or it be owned by the business sales rep if it is a business account record type. Business account sales representatives should not have access to the related employee account. And this is maintained via the org-wide default since we have a private account. So they will have access to the business account only, but child business or child individual accounts or person accounts, they will not have access to them because the org-wide default is private. Luckily, we have that investment plan and investment plan performance report should have the same security requirement, and this will be implemented via the master detail relationship. So whomever can access this record, the account record, including the assistant, will be able to access the investment plan and the 12 set fields as well. Fund reports should be visible for all internal users, and therefore I have the org-wide default for this as public read-only. Clients must be able to see their investment plan and their investment plan performance report, and for that we're gonna need a sharing set to grant the community user access over the investment plan records. For associated fund reports, I'm going to have a Lightning Web component on investment plan fund reports big object to be able to view the records associated to the investment plan, and then the user using this Lightning Web component will be able to view these records. Since these records have external OWD of private, the LWC controller class will run without sharing in order to retrieve these records and to be able to display these records for the user. There is a requirement that fund reports must only be available to clients who have invested in the fund. This cannot be implemented via sharing rules because we don't have a sharing model over the big objects, but I will depend on the Lightning Web component to secure that access and only grant access over the records that belong to this investment plan. And in all cases, the user in the community have access to his investment plans associated to his account only. The last requirement is that client must be able to view and edit basic personal information. And again, the account object that is owned by the client sales rep will be shared with the community user via a sharing set with read and edit access so that he can update his personal information for the account and contact record. As well, the clients will be able to upload documents so that and share that with assigned sales representative, and this will be a community a standard feature via my team. The users will be able to upload files to my account, and then these files will be available for the client sales rep. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward for your questions and comments about my solution. Thank you.